Restarting. Oh, good, we're starting. Having some weird technical things. I'm hoping I got a little bit of music going here, just to try and balance out. I got new neighbor upstairs, neighbors downstairs with a dog. There's helicopters, airplanes, sirens, some people shooting off fireworks at the end of May. But what I wanted to do was continue on with, it's going to get annoying, with some relaxation meditations here. I did a sort of shorter version of what's called the red pine meditation before, and I want to kind of do a longer version of that now, which will be a lot of pretty much the same places in the body to relax that we've done before, but some things might get a little bit more specific. For example, if we're around the elbows or the knees or even the wrists or ankles, I'll show around the wrist, just be easier for the video. I'll say 2 points above and 2 points below. Now that'll mean, okay, if we just sort of use this, that pivot as the line of my wrist where the bones are, you can feel that other bone here. When I say that, I mean like the 2 bones, 2 points here to relax and 2 points over here. And then I'll be one side and then I'll be the other. So this is, you can see the fold in the wrist, 2 points here, 2 points there. When we do that, the whole area we want to relax. We're almost specifically trying to bring in the mind to those points. So it'll be a little bit more detail-oriented and specific than the previous red pine meditation, which was a little bit more of a shorter, a little bit faster version. Now this is something that you can do in any sort of position, lying down, sitting down, standing up. It is what I sort of used to begin to relearn how to sleep. I do have insomnia and other things which have harmed that, and this is one of the things that like sleepwalking and night terrors and all these other things, and they kind of combined to almost a sort of bad situation at one point, and so I had to kind of relearn how to sleep. And I used the combination of this, and I have to do like a certain amount of training and meditating through the week, or else I do have problems with my sleep and my mood regulation and things like that. So this is one of the things I do to help that. It's also the sort of preliminary, or at least in one form or another, what I'll do when I do like sensory deprivation and things like that. So a couple things before we go into the actual thing just to think of. So while we're doing this, I would recommend, while you're being led through it and first kind of being introduced to it, to sit up. So you want to sit up straight, your head like it's being pulled by a string, your chin gently tucked in. So your head up doesn't mean your chin jutting out. It means the crown of the head being pulled up. You want to take the thumb, right there, just the tip of the tongue behind the teeth, right at the roof of the mouth, right where they meet. That actually helps the major meridian through, the sort of body, like the major superhighway. It's the Ren-and-Du channel. And that helps kind of connect them like a electric circuit. We also want to sit with our back straight, so our shoulders want to be resting over our hips. That crown of the head is right over what would be the perineum, so the lowest point of the torso. It's the bai hui of the huiyin. You want to try and get, if you're sitting in sort of like a meditative position, I can't do lotus or half lotus, I just can't do it. Even when I was younger, I couldn't do it, just hurt my hips and my knees too much. But if you can do either of those with the one foot laying across the legs or the both foot sort of pretzeled in. I usually sit in what's called a Burmese style, so it's my legs kind of laying in front of each other like that. But if you do, in some way, you want to kind of sit with your hips a little bit raised over your knees. So even if you're sitting straight in a chair, you don't want to be kind of back where your knees are up. If you are in a chair, maybe a little bit more forward, so that perineum is sort of maybe off the chair or just coming forward. But you want to try and stay straight and try and stay awake for this. as you're learning it. Again, if you start using when you go to sleep and it helps you sleep, fantastic. One of the things I like, one of the things that have helped me in the past, and I know other people, is maybe using some sort of uh, visualization. So you can think of like a knot untying, a ball of energy, a candle flame, or like ice melting. And I was just watching something today from Bruce Kumar Francis, who was talking about different stages of sort of the mind releasing. And first you have the ice and everything's sort of locked in, and you've got a lot of blockages, and then you have water where it's much more flowing, and then it goes into steam where now it's like kind of really loose, and then it goes into emptiness and emptiness in the universe. We don't have to go into full-blown enlightenment with this right now. But even just if I've ice and melting a place seems to help it open and relax, and that's a good visualization for that. Other thing he talks about is the four conditions, and this is kind of one of the things that have really helped me sort of be able to kind of focus in relaxing. Is if there's strength, so something you're holding on to, so you need a certain strength of will to be able to kind of do things. But if you're holding on to something, and it's sort of almost like almost a sort of a dysfunctional, diseased thought or feeling or something that you're holding on to, a fixation, I think is another word to use for that. That's a strength that you can let go, let alone something's being like tense. So that's something to let go of. Another thing to let go of is um, if something just doesn't feel right, you don't have to know exactly what it is. Like, oh, this doesn't feel right. So tension is another thing, obviously, and that will definitely create blockages or some sort of like squeezing or pressure. So these are things that you want to kind of release. Now, as we're doing this, another thing I want to make sure we get across too, I know we're not actually doing the meditation as yet, but it's something that I think is very important to talk about, and I'll try and do it quickly because it's something that I definitely have struggled with a lot in the past, is not having judgment about it. So if we're going through, now we're going to go through at a certain pace. If you choose to do this on your own, you can do whatever pace you want. I usually try and do things within an inhale going to a place, an exhale and relax it. Some of the places where I have a lot of tension, or I know other people usually build a lot of tension in, or something like that, maybe a couple breaths or something like that. If you want to spend an hour in one place, 15 minutes going through everything else, that's fine. However you want to use this is fine, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean that, well, maybe you couldn't feel, something in your neck. Maybe you got it to relax, but you didn't get it to really release. Oh, there's still a crook in my neck, or there's still a knot in my back, or something like that. God damn it, I just wanted to, no, 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 no. No judgment about it. Even one of these things, what Bruce Kumar Francis calls it was, the Lao Tzu meditation is, and part of it is you're not trying to figure out where the tension comes from or why you have it or what emotional or physical thing created it. You don't need to worry about that with this. Just let it release. And that's a lot of the things, a lot of like Eastern things talk about as well, and is non-judgmental. But sometimes even in those things, or at least the way they're presented here in the West, there's still a certain judgment. I was like, well, why aren't I enlightened? Or why can't I let go of this? Or I'm a bad Buddhist because I can't do. No, 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 no. That's judgment. All right. So maybe today, when you meditated or something like that, if you're doing stay and return, maybe you didn't do as good technically, quote, close quote, as well as you've done in previous day or something like that. That doesn't mean that you're just a failure or anything. That means you suck. It just means, okay, today maybe you don't even need to think about it in terms of I wasn't as good as before, because that's still a judgment with it. Just don't even worry about that. Do your best with what you have right here and right now. What happened before is locked in. You can't change it. And who bloody knows what's going to happen in even 5 minutes from now. So don't worry about any of that. Just from moment to moment, breath to breath, do the best you can with it. That's all you need to worry. Not even worry about it. That's all you need to do. Don't worry about it. Take worry out. So if you'd like a mudra, there's the ones that are, this kind of holding the egg, which if I remember correctly, since this is, we're in late May, it might be the more sort of seasonally appropriate one. I always like the one where I take the hand I write with, lay it on top of the hand that I don't write with, and then fold the thumbs in and place that meaty part, that ridge hand part with the pinky in against the dantian. Lower dantian being roughly a couple inches below the navel and into the body. Like that kind of center line, that hada line that runs like an axle straight through the body. Again, I'm sorry for the airplanes, but this gives in another thing. And some of this stuff I'd also recommend looking up Alan Watts lectures on a lot of things, WATTS. All that sort of stuff, you're going to hear it. Even if you're in the woods at night, the woods at night are actually kind of loud in most places. Wherever you are, wherever you're going to be, unless you're in a sensory deprivation tank, and even then you still might hear your voice or a water dripping or your heartbeat or something like that. Trust me, I've been in there long enough. There's still going to be sounds, there's still going to be distraction. I get a cat here, a dog, or this, that, or the other thing. Again, I said neighbors upstairs, downstairs, life flight by the hospital or something like that. Those are going to come. Just let him pass through you. I think one visualization I was given ages ago was like a screen door. It's something there, something that passes through, but you don't want things to stick to it. The air and the sound and the light and the smells, don't stick to the screen. They just pass through. And that's kind of what you want. It's there. You don't attach to it. You don't place any judgment like, bloody hell, the stupid helicopter. We're not trying to pass any judgment or stuff on that. Just, it's going to be there. Let it pass through. Same thing with your thoughts. And just try and bring it back into, all right, this is the area I'm trying to relax. So what we want to do for the breathing in that lower dantian, inhale, push it forward, that lower abdomen. Don't even activate the chest, just activate the low abdomen. When you breathe in, push it forward, and when you exhale, let it release. And just come back. I want to try and take that area. So if this is my dantian, I'm going to turn myself this way. If this is my dantian, say maybe, this is my navel and this is my spine, I'm going to breathe in, inflate, exhale, and deflate. Inhale and inflate, exhale, deflate. So it's not coming up into the chest or breathing up here because we got our ribs here to block where the lung is supposed to go, the diaphragm is supposed to pull down. So we want to breathe nice and big. We're going to try and take out making sounds with it, and we want to try and make the inhale and the exhale even. So that's my sort of intro for the longer version of the Red Pine Progressive Relaxation Meditation. And we're going to get into the meditation next. Thank you. I didn't want it to take time in case you like watch this and then go into the meditation. I'm almost at 15 minutes, and I don't. People want to sit down and meditate, so maybe you listen to this and then do the meditation, and then over time just go to the meditation and kind of skip this later. That's fine.